Welcome, everyone. This is the Friday Professional Development Hour, a new version of, I'll start that over again, Jody, just before the recording so I don't get tongue-tied.
Sure. No
Welcome, everyone.
problem. And go.
Welcome, everyone, to the Global Reentry webinar. This is a webinar that we put on every Friday for professional development purposes. We are now falling into a routine as we hit the 1-year mark with the Global Reentry program of doing a career services opportunity for you every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Jody then records a podcast with usually a VIP or a successful, accomplished member of the RPCV Peace Corps community on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, now we're at 1 p.m., we are offering professional development topics. I think we're kind of getting this kicked off today. So welcome everyone to the inaugural Professional Development Friday event. Jody is doing a fantastic job, I have to say, in offering career services to the RPCV community, not just those who were evacuated a year ago, March, from posts around the world due to the COVID epidemic, but to all volunteers from many decades past. What I love about Jody is that in addition to her passion for supporting RPCVs, which she's been doing for over a decade now, is that she is very eager to learn and stay abreast of the most recent trends and topics and opportunities for RPCVs. She understands what RPCVs bring from their service and the type of people that sign up for Peace Corps, and helps you through these group sessions and through individual work find the opportunities and take advantage of the strengths that you've gained in through by virtue of your Peace Corps experience. And we're just very lucky to have Jody Hammer running our career services program with the Global Reentry program. I want to just briefly mention a few other opportunities that Global Reentry is currently working on. We have recently launched a peer support network thanks to a few graduate students at the University of Maryland School of Social Work, RPCVs, who have been working with NPCA to create peer support circles facilitated by RPCVs for RPCVs. If you're interested in finding out more about peer support, please email us at psn@rpcv.org, and we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. We are also running emergency response for the COVID-19 pandemic in Washington State, and working on a few other opportunities there for responding to the epidemic. And doing a lot of great webinars here. So I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Jody to introduce our topic for today, and just ask you all to acknowledge in chat or with emojis your appreciation for Jody and her support of your career services, as we certainly do here at NPCA. Have a great session, and I'll chime in as needed, Jody, throughout.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction to our program and to everything. It's been a real pleasure for me to be able to work with Dan over this past year. I cannot believe it's been a year, coming up on a year anyway, in the next couple of weeks. And I know that many of you who were evacuated probably can't believe that either. So excited, though, to be here and talk with you today about identifying professional development opportunities and free trainings to help you, which can help you in so many ways. So I'm excited to launch forward, and I'm really wanting this to be, as usual, as interactive as possible. So I would ask for your support in that. When you do have those who are watching this live, when you have questions, please put them into the chat box. If you have comments, if you have ideas, there's going to be some times where I'm going to give you a few moments to come up with some ideas as well. Please just type those into the chat box so that we can really go through this and have a great time, and hopefully all of us will learn. I'm confident that everyone will learn something in this, myself included. So let's go ahead. Let's talk for a moment on the positive outcomes of COVID and the COVID era. I know that COVID has been a thorn, more than a thorn in everyone's side. It has been an incredibly difficult and trying time. And yet from that, I see so many examples of RPCVs coming through this difficult time and kind of landing at what's next, for themselves. So if you are someone who is still waiting for that to happen, it will come together. And we're here to help you. So let me know if I can help in any way as well. But one of the positive outcomes of COVID is really the many, many online trainings that have been developed and are offered for the most part, or I should say oftentimes free. There are others that have a low cost to them, but there are so many that are free that I'm really going to focus more on the free, because I think that's important, especially in these times when you may be looking at what's next. You may be unemployed. So I'm really focusing on kind of the free ones. There are so many out there that we're easily able to do that. What are some that you have done? I guess I'd love you to take a few minutes here and just write in the chat box, what are some online courses that you've taken? And if you can put either the title and maybe the subject, if it was, a technical one, put the title there, or maybe it was, something else. So just take a few moments. I'm going to make sure my chat box is up too. And we have Danielle, I think, here as well. Danielle, thanks so much for being here. She works with us as our wonderful intern and has been very helpful with monitoring the chat box sometimes here. So, all right. Let's see what folks have. Anything come to mind? Have you done any, free online or reasonably priced even online courses, either in the last year or even further back? Okay, Kathy is sharing Lauder Symposium on Future of Work in 21st Century Africa. Wow, ooh, that sounds fascinating. Was that a free one, Kathy, or was that one that you paid something for? And you're welcome to just put yourself off the mic. Free, excellent. Good. Any other ones that come to mind? Other folks? There are so many out there. It's, thousands, which you'll see as we go through this presentation. There's a lot of providers that are just, the biggest providers in this area, and they each have thousands of courses. So there's definitely no problem, Kathy. It's not a problem that you couldn't do audio. Putting it in the chat box is absolutely fine. Anyone else want to chime in on this one? Other courses that you've done, professional development or trainings, which can be so important in just making yourself even more competitive, right, for jobs. If you are finding that the kind of jobs that you're going for are looking for a specific skill set, maybe they're really looking for somebody who knows pivot tables in Excel. And while you are competent in Excel, pivot tables is not something you've ever worked with, right? It scares me when I think of it because it's more complex, but it's certainly teachable, right? So maybe you take advantage of the downtime that you have when you're doing your job search or you're in your current job and you're thinking ahead to what's next and where you want to go. And you take a free online course in pivot tables. That could be great, because then when you apply for those future jobs, you can reference that you are trained in, skilled in, whatever. You could have that on your resume, listing it either as a training or even, however else you would want to incorporate it in cover letters, things like that. So it can really help you a lot. Let's see. LinkedIn learning courses. Excellent. Yes, Brian. The premium account, and Brian, if you're willing to, with this, we have a fairly small group here. If you would not mind, if you would be available to tell us a little more about that, because there's the premium account and then there's the regular account, right? The free account, your basic, doesn't have access to all of the LinkedIn learning courses, but I thought there was some access to some limited ones that are certainly free. Would you be able to come on? And no problem if not, I understand.
Yeah, sure. I don't know much
Thanks,
about the differences. My name is Brian. I live in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, great.
I had the free account, and then they emailed saying that I could have 1 month access to the premium membership stuff. So able to take just as many courses as I want in that 1 month period of time. And I think it's normally $29.99 a month
Yeah.
for that level of learning. And they kind of keep your course history, and they let you, I think we'll probably talk today about how to put the courses you've completed onto your LinkedIn account. So there's just different services they offer, but there's a whole lot of types of courses you can take, from being a remote employee
Yep.
to onboarding and, just like you said, skills stuff. So it's been great.
Nice. So you've been able to do a lot of them, the courses.
There's sometimes it's a little bit of overload. You have to really know what you want. So it's very easy to say, oh, that one's 40 minutes long. Let me click on that.
Right.
And you get into it, and so you really have to have a plan as to what you're trying to learn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's just so much content. It could be overwhelming. So I've done a few of them.
Yeah. Great.
Around
Great.
goal setting and kind of having a personal brand. Those have been
Nice. Goal setting, you said?
Yep.
That's great. That can help in many areas of your, right? Not only the job search, but in your own, like thinking where you want to get, where you want to go in your own career, and, looking at your goals. What are your year goals? What are your 5-year? What's your 5-year plan? Those kinds of things. So yeah, I oftentimes recommend folks, when I talk to them about LinkedIn, and you have, the LinkedIn free version, which is generally enough to be able to do an effective job search. And there's ways to kind of get around some of the, some of the limits and things like that. But heck, if you have time over a month, and as long as you can set your calendar and remember to cancel the $29.99 charge, because what happens is you have to put that in. And then if you don't, excuse me, if you don't cancel it within that month, then you automatically get, they start charging you each month, right? So take advantage of it at some point when you do have extra time. I always say to people, go and do the premium, and you can do all of your searches and all of that without any limits, to get your contacts. And then after the 1 month, you can go back to the regular. And that does include taking, as many courses as you want, because they do have so many great courses in LinkedIn Learning. And some of them are free too, right? In terms of like maximizing your LinkedIn profile. And I have a slide actually later on that. So some of their things are definitely free as well. So that's great. Wonderful. Brian, thank you. I appreciate that. And Dan, thank you so much for sharing some of those resources with for USAID. That's great. Okay. And Kathy, less career focused, but social justice knowledge from Haymarket Books. Great. Most are BIPOC and LGBTQA presenters, and all are recorded and available on their YouTube channel. Great. That's good to know too. Thank you so much, Kathy. That's wonderful. So we have some good suggestions here. And Howard Yu, yes, hosted a symposium on U.S. Africa relations and roles of HBCUs. Oh, wonderful. Free and full recording online. Oh, these are great. This is wonderful. These are ones that I haven't heard of myself. There are so many, as I said, that are out there. It's hard to, it's just, you can't know all of them, right? So thank you so much for putting some of those in. So let's go ahead and move on here. I was asking what some of your favorite resources and trainings for professional development are, right? And you've already shared those, which is great. If you think of additional ones throughout this session, please throw them into the chat box, because remember, at the end, before you leave, you'll always have the option, and I always recommend this, download the chat box, the conversation, because those great resources, for example, that Dan just put in, those will be available in that chat box. So just, instead of trying to copy and paste them into something as we go along here, if you just download the chat box by going to the bottom of the chat box area, and there's the little 3 dots in the square, inside the square, click on that, and there'll be an option that says download chat. So I always recommend people do that, especially when we're throwing out a lot of great websites like this. Okay, awesome. So I wanted to put this screen up because this, I think, does a good job of just, I love how so many of the different icons and their logos and things, right, are there. And it just really shows you there are so many here, and there are so many more. And when you look at each one of these, oftentimes having many of the bigger ones have thousands of different offerings, you soon realize, wow, the extent of learning that you can tap into here is pretty incredible through, the online free online trainings and such. So people probably recognize some of these, right? Some of the really huge players, right? 2U, edX, Canvas, there's, open learning. There's so many that are out there. So these are just a few to show you. So, and then I want to talk a little bit about Moocs, because Moocs are it's an acronym, right? So massive open online courses, right? And these are the kinds of courses that you probably have heard about, over the course of this last year, some of the things like, okay, Harvard and, Yale and all of these like big universities are, really renowned universities are offering free training, right? So it's literally a free, a course of study that's made available over the internet, right? And it's made available to a very large number of people, right? You can take it at your convenience. So it's very, very convenient for people to just access, when they want, right? And it's helpful to it helps the teachers kind of test out some of the online features too. So this has been a really a good, it works both ways, right? It's advantageous, obviously, for the learner who gets these amazing courses taught by renowned professors, oftentimes, and you get these skills and trainings that you can then go forth and use in your own professional development and your professional, roles. But it also helps them in many ways too. So anyone who wants to, it's accessible to anyone. You can just sign on, you just go on to the website and you sign on for the course that that you're looking for, right? And you can do, obviously, Google's our friend, right? Our best friend. You go into Google and you say, best MOOC or best online training for, and whatever, fill in the blank and see what comes up. So we're going to talk a little bit now about the difference between Moocs and online training, because there is a little bit of the difference. And if you just look at this, I think this table, I really like this graphic that I think describes it the best, right? Your MOOC, as I said, is available 24/7. It's not sign on at a certain time when my course will start and, that kind of thing, right? So it's all open sourced, and there's a tendency, they want your contributions too. So students are, asked to contribute. So modules are very short. Look at that line here at number 4, right? 5 to 10 minutes, right? And it's, content's just edited, as needed. Whereas your traditional online, it's usually at a set time of the week and, day, and, you can certainly take it for free, maybe some for free, some not. But, everything, it's monitored or, restricted by the university. So things come out as you go through the session, right? So week 1, they'll release materials for that week and then some follow up and all of that. Whereas with Moocs, you get everything up front you can, right? So there's, and the online trainings are generally longer, right? 45 minutes to 60 minutes, more like your traditional, course in a university if you were in person, right? And then it's edited by semester. So in terms of the delivery, when I already referenced, the content's available, everything's available from the start, everything's pre-recorded. So you're not waiting for week to week. You can go at your own pace. Absolutely. If you want to blow through it in one day, you could totally do that. So, and then, so it just has this just the MOOC, the delivery is basically open-ended. Whereas your traditional, again, as I was saying, things might not be shared until you get to that point. So it's more of if you sign up for this online course, it is, Wednesdays at this time for X number of weeks. Okay, so an example of that might be we are currently doing a mid-career relaunch boot camp, and that is on Thursdays in the afternoon from 2 to 2:30, right? And it's for a month. And then we have a pre-boot camp for 2 weeks. So that is a 4 to 6 week module, but you couldn't do it faster than that. You've got to wait for those sessions. So worth the wait, I might say. It's going well so far. So great. You hopefully have more of an idea of kind of the MOOC versus the online training. So the biggest names, I mean, there are many that are huge, but these are among the biggest. You have Coursera, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of, right? It partners, with, both companies, but also with schools, right? To, develop courses and their certificate programs. And, like they say here, more than 3,900 courses. Now, most of these courses, right, like the course itself would be free, right? It's tuition free. You don't pay anything for the courses. But the if you want a certificate, for example, to claim the certificate and get that, you might have to pay some fee for that. Oftentimes it's not necessary to have the actual certificate. Other times it may behoove you to have it, and it might be worth the investment. So important to note that, as you're going in and you're researching different ones, look for ones that are, free, and then, is there a charge for the certificate, and how much is it? I mean, some are, very reasonable. I think in general with the Moocs, they're not a huge amount of money, from what I've heard. Now, if you have other insight, please share that here in the chat box is fine. As I said, I like this to be as interactive as possible. edX is another one. There's a lot of different organizations that are, partnering with it, and they're, educational institutions typically, right? edX, that's the title. Really good ones and really helpful, wonderful courses that are available. So I would in every kind of area, right? Professional development, right? Your personal, soft skills. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Your programming, computer tech type of programs, all of that. And then lastly, there's Future Learn, which that one's actually based out of the UK. And they do free courses and degree programs, all of that. And there's a lot there too. And like I said, these are not the only ones. So definitely don't limit yourself just to these, do a Google search and find, the best, free courses and things like that. You'll find a lot. I oftentimes look to organizations like, you've heard me say this before if you've been in my workshops, the Muse is one of my favorite sources because I trust them. I agree with their career kind of philosophy, that type of thing. And they usually do a really good job with some, information. And then Balance Careers is another great one. And one of my graphics is actually from them. They do a really good job of using putting things. They have a very good graphic designer or someone who makes a nice like like a graphic, right, that describes whatever, and they have so many of them. And you'll see one here, I think, in just a few minutes. That you might like. What do we have in the chat box coming in? Let's see. Looks like, thank you for your comments here. DevX, fantastic resources. Kathy, thank you. That's a really good idea. DevX does have a lot of really good, for people who are interested in international development. DevX is phenomenal. Yeah, the other one that's really good, Society for International Development, SID. They have some really good activities, events. They have, I think, they just had, I believe, a mentoring program that was free for mentors. It was a speed mentoring program, and they do all kinds of really great activities and trainings and things. So those are both really good ones to check out. Let's see here. The two, some more. Oh, thank you, Danielle, for putting in. Yes, for putting in the yes, our mid-career professional our mid-career relaunch boot camp has the pre-boot camp for those that don't know what they want to do has started already, but that will be the next session is next Thursday. And then the actual boot camp starts on the 15th of April. If you are interested in that, send me an email, please, and also register online under the April 15th session. There's currently a wait list, but we are working on trying to make it accessible to as many as possible. So please put your name in there and if you're interested. And it would be on Thursdays from 2 to 3:30, starting the 15th of April and going through May 6th. Okay. Let's go ahead. Great. Thank you, Danielle, for putting all of those links, and Dan, I really appreciate that. So some of the free online university providers, as I already said in a couple of the other graphics I already had here, but I wanted to point you to, there's international ones. I think the one we mentioned about the UK, there's several out of China. There's several, as I said, UK and the area as well. There's just really good ones that are out there that you can take advantage of. And in today's day and age, especially with the Moocs, when everything's available and it's 24/7, you can do it whenever you want. You don't have to worry about being, a time differential between here and India or something where you're going to be up in the middle of the night. So that's a nice aspect to that as well. So great. Okay. So why do we take the online courses or, the Moocs, right? So often it's, there's many different reasons, right? But one is to improve your soft skills. And I like, this is a graphic by The Balance. You notice the little on the bottom here, bottom left of the graphic, The Balance Career. That's the website. What are soft skills, right? They're those kinds of personal attributes that are really important to you for success in work, in personal relationships, all of that, right? So things like time management and creative thinking, as they have here, right? Conflict resolution is a big one, right? Networking, all of those kinds of things. Those are just some examples. What are some other examples of soft skills that maybe you have either taken courses on in your past? Just dump it in the chat box, the name of the soft skill. Other soft skills that you've taken courses on in the past, either from a MOOC or from any online training. Just dump them into the chat box and we'll share a few of those. I think many people think of, while we're waiting for some folks to weigh in here, many people think of the online courses and the free online courses as being all technical. It's just for technical stuff. So if you're not a techie or not a wannabe better techie kind of person, you don't really have it, but there's so much for them, right? Great, Rachel, great idea or great example. Stress management and self-care. And that's super important, right? I mean, managing your own stress in such stressful times, right? Like COVID and like job search and like, all kinds of different things going on, right? It's so important to be able to, keep that in check and do things to take care of yourself, right? And that's that self-care that you mentioned there. That is essential for you to be able to do. And that goes back to actually Dan at the beginning of the hour mentioned about the peer support networks. I would encourage any of you, to, tap into those when they're available. And Dan, I'm not sure if you can say maybe a word or two about when that might be coming or what the status is. Do you have a moment to do that?
Sure. The peer support network that Global Reentry is offering right now is a pilot program through the summer. And then we'll reassess based on the pilot to see how large we can scale it. We would like to get to a point where when RPCVs, when volunteers are COSing again from the field a couple of years from now, every RPCV can find a home in a peer support circle somewhere in the United States. Preferably, these would be in-person meetups in your neighborhood, in your communities with RPCVs, yeah, where you can meet people. For now, obviously, we're doing them virtually. We are still looking for facilitators, and actually, I was just about to type into chat here, Jody, that
good timing.
One of the best career training I've ever received was practice facilitation skills through volunteering. I'm sure you're going to talk about how to gain skills through volunteering later, but if you are interested in being a facilitator of a peer support group, that is a way to practice some of your actually, I would call that a hard skill, facilitation skills.
Yep.
You can both give and receive through the peer support circle program. And again, as I said at the top of the hour, I'll ask Danielle to put this into the chat. The psn@peacecorpsconnect.org is our email address where you can reach out, and whether you're interested in facilitating or being a part of a peer support circle or both.
Yep. No, that's great. Thank you so much, Dan. I just think that's worth revisiting because it is such a great service. And I think whether you're on that, trying to help others, when they're coming back by being maybe the facilitator, if you will, but it's really it's not like that you're leading them where you're going to be talking all the time. It's very much that it's peer generated and peer, talking, and it would be a really good experience for anyone. But for those who are interested in also improving their soft skills and like you said, presentation type of skills, things. So wonderful. Let's see, emotional intelligence. I think someone just said, hold on here one moment. My little cursor went away. I went awry there, but I think someone said some kind of intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Yes. And I just facilitated a workshop on emotional intelligence in the job search and in general, right? And if you're interested in checking that out, you can either email me at jody@peacecorpsconnect.org, or you can look at, it will be also, it will be going up on our, I don't think it's up right now, but it will be going up on our playlist. So, but just shoot me an email and I'm happy to get it to you. Okay, leadership skills. Yes, other ones, right? Emotional, yeah, leadership skills are key for when you're, working, right? Because typically when you work your way up, you're going to have more and more responsibility, which may or may not include some, supervision of people. So leadership skills are really, really key. And that's another one that's really good. Cultural competency, right? Now, you all, what's great with Peace Corps is I feel like Peace Corps volunteers come back from their service and such. I feel like because of your experience that you've had integrating yourself successfully into, a foreign culture, completely foreign culture, and effectively working with, the people of that country, you've done this a lot. And I feel like your cultural competency is much greater already. We can always improve, but I feel like you have more cultural competence in general than your average, person. Yeah, that's out there. So that's great. Wonderful. So we've got some really good ones here. Thank you so much to everyone for putting those in. I really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and we'll move on, and then we'll take general questions at the end as well. Again, please use that chat box if you have any questions at all. That's the best way for us to make sure to get to it in the course of this time. Time goes very quickly. So here is a list. The other reason for online courses and Moocs is really oftentimes your tech skills, right? Improving your tech skills, so whether it's like, put in the chat box, anyone who's interested in getting better at some tech thing, drop it in there. What is something that you'd like to get better at, a technical skill that you'd like to be better at? Just drop that in there. And while you do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about just these companies here, your tech skills, right? These companies here all offer training, right? Moocs and such on different aspects of many different aspects of technology, right? Everything from, your marketing types of things to, using software, programming. Yes, programming, absolutely. Coding. In fact, I think it's Allison that is the one, they have one that's a pretty popular one. It's like done in a very, like, it's done in a very low tech way, which I think I would really appreciate because as a non-digital native, I think sometimes, the folks that are, coming out of high school today, they've never known, right? And they're in college and, whatever, they've never known a day without their, cell phone or whatever, all of that technology. I'm not that. I was born, many years ago and long before tech. And when I did my Peace Corps service, they did not have technology really in terms of, we didn't have computers, laptops, even cell phones. So Allison has this one on, I think it's on coding, and it uses like superheroes. So it's good for any age really, right? It can get the interest of the young learner, but it's done in a way that's super understandable and enjoyable, right? Kind of fun. So, but many of them will have those, right? I mean, Code Academy, Coursera, many of these you've seen already, right? On the prior slides that I've listed, but these are the ones that are really known for, tech. A lot of their tech ones, some of the best. But again, you can always do your Google search and do best tech skills Moocs, or free trainings, free online training, best whatever, for whatever you're looking for. Let's see who else. Allison, oh, thank you, Dan, for putting that in there. Anyone else have any kind of technology that you'd want to get better at, whether it's a certain program of Microsoft Office, or whether it's maybe Adobe Photoshop? That's kind of more of your, right, more in the tech for marketing and photos, all of that. Any other ones that you can think of that you want to just drop in to the chat box? Be my guest. I know others will appreciate those as they download the list there, but suffice it to say, there are a lot, right? And of course, for example, Microsoft Learn, I mean, if you have Microsoft programs, right, and you want to get better at them, there's going to be a lot of free trainings because it's kind of like their, come here for support, or they'll have their support center or help center, and they'll do a lot of free trainings to help you with mastering their technology. So, okay. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Yes, Photoshop of InDesign. Excellent, Rachel. That's a really good one. And I can guarantee you most of those, the ones listed here in the bullets would have that. Yep, giving you an edge in marketing and communications. Absolutely, absolutely. And this can be true, even if you're not going for like a marketing position, right? We have in our organization the actual, comms department, your communications department, and obviously they, know all of this, or they're, they can benefit from learning things, in that area if they don't know them. But even when you're working in a different area, oftentimes, and especially I would say with, smaller, organizations, smaller nonprofits, things like that, you don't always have a department for certain things. For example, you don't really have a, tech department, right? And I know Dan and I can certainly relate to having been, when we were in federal government at Peace Corps, at the agency working there, they have their entire tech department where something goes wrong and you pick up the phone, you call tech and you're like, this is what's happening. And they, what's your ID? And they wire into they like remote in and they fix it. And it's awesome. I miss that. But most organizations don't necessarily have an entire little department or even, a one-person department. It's so you work together and all of that. So it's extra helpful to have some of those skills yourself, is what I'm saying, in certain areas. So great. Yes. Oh, Kathy, I love it. So you can totally relate. So a 2-hour rural bike ride to highway hitchhike for a phone call at the phone office, and an 8-hour bus ride to the Capitol. Exactly. You can relate. I love it. That's great. So yes, it has changed in some ways. Okay, let's go on here. So I do want to talk, we've talked about kind of, your personal development, your professional development in different ways, technology, and some of those soft skills that are very helpful for you in your work life and such. I also want to talk briefly about the job search, honoring and recognizing that many of you are in a job search and looking undoubtedly to for assistance that's going to help you in this online trainings and things to help you get that next best job or that promotion if you're in a company now and working. So I do want to spend a few minutes talking on job search types of things. So there's trainings available on so many different topics, right? Almost any topic you can think of, right? So language, there's many organizations, and one of the things I'm going to send to you in the follow-up is going to be a resource for where it shows many of the languages like French, Spanish, Mandarin, many other, like where you can get some free training, because I know a lot of people who were evacuated, and maybe you were evacuated even fairly soon on, where you don't feel like you were able to master the language or even develop that proficiency you wanted or hoped for. So these can be really helpful to continue your endeavor of increasing your proficiency while you're doing whatever, whether it's your job search, and this is kind of your, this can be your taking time out of your job search and doing something fun, right? Or something that's helping you master something that you wanted. It could be you're entering, maybe you move to a place that has a much stronger Spanish speaking population, right? A much larger population. So, you learned French or some other language in your Peace Corps service. So, you could work on, getting some basic proficiency in Spanish and, or whatever language. And at this point, I do want to drop in, because I think it is an important point, and it's a tip that I give to most clients, is whatever your language that you're wanting to learn or get better at, I truly feel the best way to do that is to do a language swap. And by that, I mean, find somebody in your community, or it may be online today, right? In today's day and age, right? Find somebody who is a native speaker of whatever the language you're wanting to learn. Let's just say Spanish, for example. And you are an English speaker, and you're obviously proficient in English. So you get together either in person or, by, Zoom if you need to or whatever, But what you do is half the time, so you meet somewhere or whatever, and half the time, if it's an hour that you get together, maybe once or twice a week, half an hour is only in Spanish with them helping you, where you're just speaking in Spanish and they're helping you, with your, whatever you're trying to say, that kind of thing. And then it flips and it's half hour, whatever, half of the time, English only, and you're helping them. What's great about that is it's not like you're going to a course where you're saying la, lo, le, where you're learning. It's more of I think I learned far more in my Peace Corps service from talking to people. I was a French major in college up until my junior year, halfway through my junior year, where you had like 8 years or 6 years of French. I learned more in my Peace Corps pre-service training, 3 months, than I learned in all of that combined. Like, I was so much more proficient than I was because I'd never had that immersion, right? And so once you have that immersion, you really can learn it that way. I think doing a language swap can be great. So I just put it out there as something to explore. Oftentimes people are looking to improve languages, and this is an easy way to do that. Oftentimes you can find those folks by going to universities that are in your area, going into their maybe career center or into their, like intercultural, international, department or whatever studies, area, and seeing if you can be, matched up with somebody, or just share your information, or put a sign up somewhere, on a bulletin board somewhere or whatever, to try to find people like that. The other thing you can do is you can activate your network, right? Activate your LinkedIn, your, your Facebook, say, hey, does anyone know a Spanish speaker who's looking to improve their English? I'm looking to do a language swap, would love to connect. I'm pretty sure that you will find some good options. Okay, so great. Communication, we were already really talking about, right? Communication, your speaking, whether it's your, public speaking abilities. And another thing to tap into for public speaking is, of course, your, Rotary. Not Rotary Club. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Sorry. It's the Toastmasters. I'm sorry. Toastmasters is an awesome organization that helps people who want to speak better in public speaking, right? That's the number one fear for people, is public speaking in general. They're very afraid of public speaking. And so this can help people get better at it. And you might want to check that out. You can just find where your local one is. And again, right now, I'm sure things are probably being done mostly online, but check that out, right? Writing, writing opportunities. Now, this could be for just your own writing skills, your clarity of writing, that kind of thing, when you're, when you are communicating with, people, being clear and concise and all of those things. But it also could be, and interestingly enough, we have a workshop coming up on this. If you're interested in improving maybe your, writing for proposal writing or fundraising types of, that type of scenario, that's oftentimes a skill that nonprofit organizations are looking for people to have, not just the people who are hired for that department, because it really ends up being everyone that helps to some degree. So if you're interested in that, it's in April. I'm not sure if Danielle, if you can look on our events calendar, anyone, you can always go to peacecorpsconnect.org/events, and you'll see it listed there. I think it's on a Friday. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's on a Friday, because we now have our Fridays focused on professional development. I'm just not sure which Friday it is within the, there you go. And Danielle put the link to our events page. So so I think trying to get better at, proposal writing and those kinds of things. And remember, many of you have experience in this already, and you may forget to add this to your resume. But remember, if you did a one of the grants that are, the partner grants that are USAID funded, you could put on your resume, wrote a USAID funded grant to blah, 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 whatever it was that it was designed to do. If you received the grant, wrote received and managed $10,000 grant or USAID funded grant to whatever, implement and whatever. So you can definitely, you already have some skills in that, but you could definitely get some more skills in that for sure, right? Marketing a lot of times comes down to social media today, right? It seems like it's all about social media. So thinking about, the many of the companies that I said earlier, and you can go back and look at those or look at the resource page that I'm going to send to you as well. The marketing, the like how to, master whatever it is, right? Whether it's MailChimp or it's, there's all these different, right? There's Slack and that I've learned some new ones, which has been great. And many other ones that help with, social media and how to put things out to the right channels and all of that. And then the technical we've already talked about, right? With coding and the website and website creation. I mean, there's so much out there that many of you aspire to perhaps have a business of your own, right? I mean, that's what I hear from many times clients is, thinking about having a business of their own at some point. And so, getting better at like website creation and what does that involve and how do I do this can be really helpful for you as you plan toward, your next or a future career. And then entrepreneurship, right? I think Peace Corps volunteers, right? RPCVs tend to be great entrepreneurs, right? And have entrepreneurial skills. And it definitely takes more than just, a desire. There's a lot of skills. I know that one of our podcasts that we did, I think it was the first one we did, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I believe it was the very first one we did, which spotlighted entrepreneurs, RPCV entrepreneurs, and 3 different entrepreneurs and their products. And it was great. And there was really, really good tips. So maybe Danielle, can you drop the Spotify, maybe the link to the general Spotify, and I think it's the first one, or you can just do the direct link to that one. Anyone can always go in as well to Spotify. Just do a Google search on Spotify, Jobs with Jody, and then the entrepreneur is the one that you might enjoy if you're interested in that. So again, there's so many of the recordings that we've done in the past that might be applicable. So I do encourage you to take a look at what we have and download it, spread the word. We're definitely, we want to get information to as many people as can use it. So we really appreciate everything that you all do. So great. Thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate that there. LinkedIn, I wanted to, definitely, we talked about it very briefly, right? LinkedIn trainings, there's the premium ones, right? Your LinkedIn Learning, but you can get those free for 1 month, but there are lots of free trainings as well, even if you don't have the premium level. So it is, LinkedIn, and it's just, I put a couple bullets here for plugs of, it's the best, most expansive network, professional network and networking tool. So if you don't have LinkedIn and I would definitely encourage you to create a LinkedIn account. It's not too difficult. There's a lot of tips on walking you through and how to do it in the most effective way. I know one of the things that I'm trying to do is get somebody from LinkedIn, from the organization, to actually be a guest facilitator and really go through like in detail, like taking one person's example of their LinkedIn and, strengthening it and giving tips, because I think that would be really effective. So I will continue to do that, to look for that. And I would encourage any of you who may have LinkedIn contacts who maybe work at LinkedIn or know, would be somebody that, is really good at this, please get a hold of me. I would love to hear from you and potentially consider trying to spotlight that person. So, thank you. And the Entrepreneurs Podcast is there now. Thank you, Danielle. I really appreciate that. So, okay. So let's focus now on other resources that you can think of, or that you maybe were hoping we'd talk about and maybe we haven't gotten to yet. Questions you have, please drop them in the chat box. We're here to help in any way possible. So please feel free to do that. I'm just going through the chat box to see if there was a question you had earlier that hasn't gotten answered. Please just go ahead and copy and paste it to the bottom. I don't see that there are any that haven't been, but I'm just wanting to make sure we don't miss you. So any other resources you can think of, or, oh, good. Rachel says a lot of resources such as LinkedIn and Coursera offer badges. Yes. Yes, they do. You're right. They have a whole badge system. Right now, for the badges, typically, as I understand it, they can, some of them can cost, I think, something, it's maybe a modest amount. But anytime you have a badge or a certification in something, obviously it's it would look stronger than, like if I saw certified in or badge in whatever versus trained in, I know that the certified in or the badge is going to be to a certain degree, right? So I think that would be great. But that said, if it's not necessary to have that, if you have it, put it on your resume regardless, right? Trained in XYZ, you could put the number of hours. If there's a certain number of hours, that can help, make it more understandable and what was actually covered. So I think either is fine. If the badge is free, I would say great, get it, right? Or the certification if it's not too much extra work. Yeah, let's see. So we have some other folks weighing in. Let's see here. Great. Okay. For LinkedIn, use of keywords and activities that convey one's experience and career goals is very helpful for job bots and recruiters. Yep. Good suggestion, Carrie. Thank you for saying that. You're absolutely right. Those keywords, and a lot of times those keywords, if you look at your job or jobs that you're looking at, you're probably looking maybe for more than maybe one general type of job, but several employers maybe, right? You probably notice when you look at their description, the job description, it'll have, for example, they'll have keywords, words that come up again and again that, are, that you see on all these job descriptions you're looking at. They're the main central things they're looking for. So you want to obviously in your LinkedIn profile, that's a good suggestion, Carrie, bring that to the table, right? Include those kinds of words and have in your profile, right, in your little summary right up front, those kinds of words and skills and all of that to help you get noticed by the job bots and eventually by the recruiters, right? That's good. Great. Okay. And Dan, did you want to add something here?
Jody, just taking it up maybe to 10,000 feet again here, I think it's important to say, as far as looking for resources or job training resources, the first challenge is to know what you're looking for, and
Right.
and to ask the question, what do I need to get where I want to be? And to that end, I think to go back and look at some of Jody's webinars on networking and doing the career chats with people, and in assessing your current skills to get the job you want, and asking if you don't get a job that you want. I think that's one of the best learning opportunities you can possibly get.
Yep.
Try to find out who got the job. What skills did they have that you didn't? What leg up did people have that are getting the jobs that you might be
Yep.
interested in? And a lot of times, Jody and I can answer a lot of those questions for you in the federal space because of our experience there and the nonprofit space.
Yeah.
If you're looking for specific industries, let us know. And here within our a massive RPCV community, we can help set you up with help you on the road to networking with the people who can tell you what sorts of trainings and experience you need, what additional resume bullets you need for the job you're looking for.
That's a really good point, Dan. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you, Dan, for putting the how to save the chat for folks so that they have these many links that have been shared. So great. Any other thoughts before we wrap this session up? We are just about at the top of the hour right now. So if there's any other final comments or questions, we're happy to take them. I can stay on a few minutes afterwards as well and take individual ones if you'd like. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here and go ahead and shut the recording off, and then we can take some additional questions if needed. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and make it a great day.